Would you hero call with your kings on this run out or just fold? Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at another live poker cash game hand. I played a 2-4 low stakes live cash game in Germany and I started this hand with one of my least favorite starting hands in poker. It's pocket kings. I personally think that kings to queens to jacks are pretty difficult to play post flop against multiple opponents, and I'm going to take a look at this in this video. So we start in the UTG 2 spot this time. We get a UTG limb and a UTG 1 limb. And when raising, I usually tend to go about 14 to 16, but with the 2 limbs added, I decided here to go to 24. Also because you don't want to play an overpair like kings when the flop is low against multiple opponents. That can be very dangerous. So I go rather large here. Low jack, hijack, cut off, all fold. And then we have a player on the button who just calls the 24. And we also see the big blind comes along for the 24. The both limps fold. I'm always happy to see the limpers fold. That's just a bit more money in the pot. So with 82 bucks in the middle and 3 ways, we're going to a flop of rainbow, check, 10-6. And I think on this board, my overpair is pretty strong. So when the big blind bets, I decided to go about 1/3 pot, like a range bet. Even though the flop doesn't really hit my range too much, I think I can have some sets or even overpairs like in this case. So I'm quite happy with the flop and with this c-bet here on the flop as well. It gets called by the button, but the big blind gets out of the way. So now we have narrowed the field down to a heads up spot. And now, as you always know, when you play pocket kings, there's always an ace, mostly on the flop, here on the turn, which is a bit nasty because now we've invested quite a lot of our stack, not too much, but a healthy size of our stack into this pot. And now we have an overcard to our kings. Also, there is now a straight possibility, which I don't really think he has a lot, but it might be possible. But I'm blocking king queen twice with my pocket king, so I suppose he could rather have an ace that he floated the flop with than a straight here in this position. I took a look at the solver. The solver said to continue barreling about half time of these situations and check about half of the time. So I decided I was a bit scared here of this ace. So I decided to go with a check and go into a check call mode, which is a bit too passive. Maybe I should have just gone for a bet myself. What do you think? Should I have gone for a bet myself here with my kings? When the ace comes on the turn, it is a scary card, but it's very well in my range. So if I was holding an ace, I would probably have bet here. So I should have probably gone for a bet in my opinion, but I decided to check it to the button. I tried to go for a bit more checks. I tend to bet a little bit too much. So here in this position, I tried to be a bit more balanced and check this. I still have a queen, which would give me the nuts. And otherwise, I don't really have any way to improve. So I'm trying to see a cheap showdown here at this point. The button now sold for like 30 seconds and he goes for 50, which is again like a third pot bet. Here I'm already facing the decision of I could just fold because there's an overpair, but I think it's correct to call this once and the solver agrees with me. It's just a straight call. You don't have to get too fancy. See a river and then decide how to proceed. So we have another check of hearts on the river, which is probably one of the worst cards in the deck. Obviously, I would have liked to see a queen way more. A king would have been also quite dangerous, I think. It would upgrade us to a set, but there would be a one-liner to a queen, so I think we would also be in terrible shape there. And now the board has paired with a jack, and here I decided to go for another check. So it's now my opponent. I was hoping for a check back, maybe with a 10 or something that's not too strong. I would be able to see a cheap showdown. My opponent thought about this for about a minute, and then he goes for 200, which is nearly pot. It's like 3/4 of a pot. And here I am with my second pair, and I thought about this for quite a while. And the problem that we are facing is I do lose to a straight, which would be king, queen. Not so likely, but it's still possible. I would lose to any check at this point. So a hand like queen jack or king jack or any other check that might be in the button's calling range. I'm not so familiar with this opponent. I didn't play with the villain a lot, so I'm not so sure what he's calling with. We're gonna find out afterwards in the reveal. And I'm unfortunately also losing to any ace that with a backdoor flush draw might have floated on the flop, my flop c-bet. So with this pretty terrible card, I decided not to hero call here with my kings. Tell me in the comments what you would have done. Do you think it's correct to hero call here? The solver actually says it's like a 50-50 again. So sometimes the solver hero calls here with the kings and sometimes he throws it away. I decided here to make a very disciplined laydown. So I folded my pocket kings here. The table asked my villain on the button to show the aces because he had about two aces, 2 times pocket aces nearly in a row before this hand. And the villain was a bit hesitant, but then he windmilled 9-6 of diamonds across the table. And everyone was very frustrated when I told them that I folded the pocket kings. A lot of them were my friends that I already know for quite a while, so I ended up telling them that I hero folded the kings. I'm not even sure if it's a hero fold. I think it's a disciplined fold. But unfortunately, I got bluffed off my nice kings here. Tell me in the comments, would you have folded the kings there? I'm not so sure about this afterwards. But I'm very certain that in 99% of the time, he shows up with either an ace or a jack here. And the fact that I need to pay nearly half, and I need to pay 3/4 to like nearly a pot-sized bet. I need to be correct 1 out of 4 or 3 times when you consider the odds mathematically. So I'm pretty certain that this was a good fold in my opinion. But unfortunately, I got bluffed here in this pretty sizable pot for a 2-4 game. A $240 pot is a couple of big blinds. So tell me what you think of this hand and tell me what you would have done in these spots. I'm very pleased to do more hand analysis video. Also, keep in mind, as with the chess games that I used to analyze, you can always send me your own hands as well. I would be also very pleased to take a look at your hands that you played. Maybe there were some interesting scenarios or cases that we can analyze together. Check out my live stream where I sometimes analyze the games with you in a discussion, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.